going to put a liquid treatment on, right? So what I do, I don't dismantle the hive, I don't put on BBQX, don't light a smoker, I just put this guide in, and I take 50 ml of the treatment, and I just go in there, and I dice the bee. This is right above the bee. Right above the bee. Don't have to take it in. I go there, and I go the other side, and drench the bee. It's even easier with actual, like this sort of stuff. Just put your pad in there. You take out that, and you put that in there. Done. How long is that? I believe we've got a real game changer for beekeepers if you've got a few hives. And I'm going to go through, I don't like the word journey, but how we got here. Because this has been developed for 3.5 years at least with testing and the rest of it. But I'd like to take you through it. And great if you could give feedback on your opinions. We're very interested in that. It's been beta tested and put out to beekeepers all over the country to get feedback. It's had a positive response. So, eBay has initially been selling beekeepers initially. All right, boys. We've been initially selling organic treatments, and it was all about treating these little things on the back of the bees. If you can't get on top of it, it can be a major problem. Some hives seem to manage without it, but longevity of the hive, I'm not so sure. So, why doesn't the house bee remove these mites? I mean, it's fairly obvious that they're on the bee, and with the hygienic behaviour, they don't seem to get them off. Okay, you've got guard doors, bees, and they stop the entry of intruders. The integrity of the colony is protected, but the mite gets in from the surrounding. So, how does a mite get away with it? Right? It's only 3.5 years ago that I discovered this. The ectoparasitic mite mimics the hydrocarbons of the hive. In other words, It mimics the smell of the colony. The house bees don't see the mite. Okay? Even a dead mite mimics the hydrocarbons of the hive. And all hives have a different hydrocarbon setup. So a foreign bee coming in also is detected. So it's quite interesting, these mites. You'd think the bees would know that there's mites on the back of them, but in this case, they don't see it. They don't see the mite. Surely they know it's on them. No, they don't. So, I'm going to show you a sequence of applying treatments, and I'm going to ask you a question about it. Applying varroa mite treatments, because that's what Bee Bay was initially about. This was our starting point for the BBQX. So, this is what you do. These are images of applying treatments, Varromed, Oxy-B, the paste, icing sugar, which doesn't work. The research has shown it's over a long period it's ineffective. You've got pad treatments and more pad treatments. Okay. What do all these images have? What you see in there, you see in the brew box. You've got to get down to the brew box to apply your treatments. Okay? So, we looked at the development of the BBQX. This was the first product I got, and I got it from a company called Bee Vital at Apimondia in Dublin, 2005. An interesting show, and Werner Hall, the director of the company, had a stand there with selling Hive Clean. Kevin, it is fantastic. It's in Austria. It's safe, it's organic, it's 90% efficient, and you can drink it. And he was drinking the stuff. And I said, sounds like snake oil. He says, no, take a bottle and try it. So I took it back to Hallstone Apiary in North Devon, and we tried it, and it was damn good stuff. You couldn't over-treat. You could put it on any time. It didn't affect the wax or honey. It was a first-class product. Okay? So, what I looked at was, could I put this liquid onto the bees without dismantling the hive? Okay? Well, let's just look at that. I want a minimum hive intervention. Some beekeepers go for what they call post-natural beekeeping. In other words, disturb the bees as little as possible. They know what they're doing, right? It doesn't need you sticking your nose into it. But it should be coupled with maximum hive observation. You can learn so much just sitting and watching the bees to and fro it. You can see if it's healthy, I'm bringing in pollen, etc. Okay? So, dismantling a hive for treatment. This is the process. You put on your PPE. You light your smoker. You smoke the hive. You remove the roof. You remove the grain board. You remove the supers and the feeder or a feeder. You remove the queen excluder. You get down to the brood box, and then you apply your treatments. Okay, some of us get quite adept at it when we've got many hives. We're in and out as fast as possible. So, and then you have to reverse the process. You've got to put the lot back together again. Okay? So, the consequences of dismantling a hive. Right? Now, you may have your own philosophy on this, but this happens. Right? There's immediate disturbance to the colony. You can't not disturb the colony. They've set up this nice colony, kept the heat right, to and fro in, but you've disturbed it. You've chucked smoke at them. They're under attack, basically. You're warning them, hey, I'm coming, here's your smoke. You change a stable microclimate. Those bees have spent quite a considerable time setting up the internal atmosphere within the hive. Damage burr and brace comb, and they're there for a reason, to stop rattling. Okay, frequencies. You break popular seals. Can't help it. And of course, there is subsequent bee damage. So, we went through many prototypes. I'll show you one, quick one, And this is a silicon tube setup. So basically it was a silicon tube, that's looking from the top, that's looking from the bottom. Basically it's a silicon tube with slits in, okay? And I put a syringe on the end, and we use these clamps to clamp it. When you put pressure on the silicon, the slits open up and it sprays onto the bees. But it wasn't very satisfactory, unfortunately. There's cleaning, stuff was left in the tube, it was a nightmare. But it looked good. So, this is how we do it at BBay. We have what we call an additive manufacturing. Most people know it as 3D printing, okay? And we set about designing and developing various components to convert a queen excluder. Because in the queen excluder, beneath it, there's a bee gap, okay? And we have 7 mouldings that we had to develop for this product. Those are some of the iterations we went through to get to where we are now today with the current model ready for launching. Okay, so we call it silicon and stainless. We have stainless tubing for the stiffness to put into the hive and squirt. We have a bullnose to prevent damage to the bees when you're doing it. A slit to produce a fan spray downwards, and a silicon tube for the introducing the liquid to the BBQX. We also looked at other ones. A syringe we use mainly, but we did look at and have pressured bottle and power spray. But the syringe seems to be the way to go. So here's a quick video. The interesting thing about that, the question that we got from our beta testing was, how do you know you're getting onto the bees between the frames? And the answer is, you don't need to, right? Because if we go back to the slide about the hydrocarbons, the CHCs we call it, particular hydrocarbons, what you do with most treatments, you disrupt the environment. You'll find that most treatments have a pungency to them, right? And they have things in like oxalic acid, which has an effect and does kill them. But initially, and this is one thing that Werner Holl of Hive Clean used to say, because I started selling this at shows because I got sole distribution for Hive Clean. And all the customers used to say, oh, it's oxalic acid. And he kept saying, Kevin, it's not the oxalic acid. It's the disruption to the environment. And that's what we do when we apply treatments. The mites are quite comfortable mimicking the bees, the hydrocarbons. What we do when we apply treatments is disrupt that behaviour. Okay? That's why treatment's effective, like the timer. It's very pungent. Right? So that's how effective. So you don't have to get it directly onto the bee. Well, you do get it directly onto the bees, but it doesn't have to be between the frames. You just need to wet the bees. Because what do? They spread it about, right? And after all, it's over 90% inverted sugar solution, these treatments, these liquid treatments. So it's just about getting it onto the bee, okay? So we had this BBQX that we initially developed for applying liquids. And then we looked at it and said, well, we've got these apertures. These apertures are horizontally opposed, slightly offset. So I said, what else could we use it for? So, because of the opposite apertures, we looked at, hey, we could place pad treatments. We all know what pad treatments are out there from the various companies. They're very effective, very good. We could introduce liquid feeds. You know, in times, especially these times now where weather can change, and you have 2 weeks bad weather in the summer, you may need to boost them. Okay. So, and of course, you've got a convenient additional extra entrance there. We said, I'll whip through this one. Basically, we say, look, don't disturb the bees if you don't have to. Leave them alone. They know what they're doing. Just chuck another super on top. Keep them happy. And this device, I mean, commercial beekeepers with 300 hives, I don't think would want to use this method because it wouldn't be cheap. Let's just speak to me privately. Minimum hive intervention, that's what we're about. Don't disturb the bees. Natural beekeeping, or post-natural, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be launched on a crowdfunding platform next Tuesday, 28th of Feb. You can't buy it at the moment. So it'll be on a platform called Indiegogo. To launch this product internationally, it requires about 25 grand's worth of tooling for the moulding. So we have a pack that supplies everything. We have a pack for applying liquids. We have a pack for applying pads. And we have a liquid application system. And we have the what we call the nickel, which is the feeder trays. You're going to shut me up, mate? I would like to point out here, I'm not saying don't go inside the hive. Right, you have to. There are times when you have to. But personally, I don't think you should go in the hive to get down to the brood box more than 3 times a year. There's ways of knowing what's happening there without taking your hive apart. The other thing is swarms, swarm prevention. That's a different story altogether. It's whether you want to control the swarms or you let them swarm and you catch the swarm. It's whatever philosophy you think is best. So that's Bee Bay. And let's just check there's no more. That's the Beekeeping Show and my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.